This is the 7artisans 35mm f1.2 for Fuji X mount. I have been using this lens for the last 1.5 years. Before this lens, I never owned a f1.2 lens, and 7artisans being a new company back then, making such lens intrigued me, and despite some bad YouTube reviews of this lens, I decided to go for it. And I'm very glad that I did, because it is a wonderful lens. I am a traveler and this is the only lens I carry with my trusty battle-proven X-T20. I have a 50mm f1.8 for my Canon, and this being 35mm adjusted to the crop sensor gives me the same sort of field of view with much better depth of field with this lens. One of the great things about this lens is its durability. Being a manual focus lens with all metal construction, including the lens mount, over the years I have taken on different adventures and travels, withstood a fair bit of punishment on my travels, and I would say that due to its really tank-like construction, this will hold well. A lot of third-party Fuji lenses, after you mount them, will wobble a little on its mount, but not with this, not even a millimeter. You can hold the camera by the lens if you want to. I mean, it's perfectly fine. Now the focus ring is a short throw ring, which is perfect if you use Fuji's focus picking system, and I am capable of getting things in focus in 1 second. The metal ridges helps guide the focus to precision. Now there is a newer model of this lens that came out last year in 2020 that does not have the ridges, and I would much prefer this over the new ones because it's almost the same image quality, but you get so much more profile on it. The new model also has clicked aperture now, as opposed to this one with declicked smooth aperture, which is much preferable in my opinion, but I almost always shoot this at f1.2. I mean, that's the whole reason for this lens to exist in the first place. So right now I'm holding my Fuji X-T20 with one hand and my phone with the other, and recording a video for you guys, you can see the red highlights. That's the focus picking system, Fuji's, and I'm trying my best to show you what it feels like using the live view of this camera, that how much depth of field you get with this lens, which is, I would say, insane. I mean, look at this, this is f1.2, and only that bit that you can see in focus is in, see that bit in red, that's how much focus you will get. That's how much thin depth of field you're gonna get to work with, and it's insane. When you have focused all the way out, due to the max aperture of the lens, you can take in more light and videos and images will look much better, like vintage lenses. Another advantage of this lens is that being manual focus and low aperture will save you a lot of battery life, both in terms of sensor usage, because you won't have to crank the ISO high anymore, and being manual focus, no power is being used by the lens at all. It's one of the reasons this is my go-to travel lens. I just carry 2 batteries with me and no charger sometimes. That's it. This is a recorded video with this lens using the Fuji X-T20 without any edit, so that you can check out the quality of this lens. Despite what others YouTubers say about this lens, which I frankly don't care about, I am not disappointed with this lens. I have used vintage lenses in the past, and if you are not a pixel peeper, understand photography to be something that creates an experience, then this cheap lens will amaze you. This is a small channel. It would be really helpful if you can subscribe. I'm trying to make it onto YouTube with my passion for photography, and subscribing really helps with reaching goals of hitting the minimum YouTube barriers of 1000 subs for monetization. I hope you like my channel. I am a non-professional hobbyist photographer. My day job is being a game developer, and I'm really trying my best to keep my passion alive. I mean, when you work at daytime, all your passion goes out the window, but I'm really trying hard to hold on to photography. Thank you. Let me show you something. This is f16, and this here I have a 50mm f1.7 from Yashica, olden days, a vintage lens, and you can see the glass is almost the same. So the amount of light taken in by the 7artisans 35mm f1.2 is almost same as a 50mm f1.7. The same amount of light. I mean, the aperture is almost the same. You can see side by side. Okay, so if you think about full frame equivalent, this will turn into a f1.8 lens. So true f1.2 lens is very expensive for full frame cameras, but this lens is amazing. This image was taken with total darkness, with moonlight behind him, and I was in the opposite part of the moonlight, and look at this. I mean, I had to crank my ISO to 52,000 for this image to be taken. I mean, the electricity just went out, the whole area was dark, and I took these images with this lens at f1.2 with ISO cranked to 52,000. That means at golden hours it takes breathtaking images. One minor complaint I have is this low form factor cloth friction gripped lens cap. It is made of metal, but if you are not careful, you're gonna lose this and it's gonna fall off because it's held by like a couple of millimeters of thickness, and with this much glass on this, you don't want to lose this cap. Now this is the 7artisans 25mm f1.8. Strangely, this comes with a much nicer cap with this that doesn't fall off. But here is the strange thing. 7artisans makes these strange thread sizes different for different lenses they have, which means not only the caps are incompatible, but it makes it harder for me to find ND and CPL filters that work across most of the other lenses. This metal mount is metallic while this one is plastic, so that's a good thing. But here is the thing, this one is 46mm and this one is 43mm. So just for 3mm they are incompatible with a lot of lens accessories. 7artisans should really look into that. I mean, I would love to have a lot of more 7artisans lenses if the CPL and the ND filters were compatible with each other, and it makes it harder to find. All in all, this is a solid, well-built, battle-tested lens. I have been using this for 1.5 years, and I have taken it to the beach and on light rain and drizzle. No water or moisture as yet to manage to get inside it. Every time I look at this lens, I am surprised at how much glass this has. I mean, compared to the 25mm f1.8, which is not bad at all. I'll make a review of it later, but compared to that, this has so much more glass. I mean, you can just really see it, like the amount of glass, the difference from f1.8 to f1.2, it's a lot more glass. I mean, it's crazy. The resultant light that actually ends up in the sensor is much higher. The t-stop is much higher on this lens compared to the 25mm f1.2. That being said, this is also twice as expensive. See, this lens cap won't fit on this lens at all. So if you're thinking of getting this lens and checking review for a purchasing decision, I would say stop right now and go out and buy this lens. This is one of my favorite lenses in my collection. If you are not looking at perfection and love the look and feel of vintage lenses, think of this as a modern remake. Thank you for your valuable time. Please subscribe to my channel so that I can bring you more non-professional, casual reviews. Thank you.